Another day, another video. So this video is all about finances and specifically personal finances. I've been really into finances for the last 3 to 4 years. I would say since I was 16 is when I got interested to finances, my personal finance especially. So I wanted to make this video talking all about finance for beginners. I know a lot of us were just starting out, we're getting used to all the terminology, doing taxes, which is great when you have someone to pay for it. Like, cause damn, I don't know how people would be doing it on their own, but that's a whole nother thing. But I'm mostly focusing on your personal finances with savings, planning, your income, spending habits, and whatnot. So yeah, let's get to it. So our first topic is savings. Now, from the get-go, there's different saving accounts available for your different needs. That being, let's say you have a savings account, a general savings account, transfer paychecks that you won't be using for your spending, you can put into your savings. There's TFSA in Canada, which is a tax-free savings account, which is more directed towards stocks, or it could just be used as a savings account. But just know that if you do put money in there, don't expect it to grow unless you're investing it towards something, because at that point it just acts like a normal savings account. The next being, we have the RRSP, retirement funds. So there's a lot of saving accounts. The thing is though, knowing which best suits your needs. Depending on what you're working, if you're a student, a full-time worker, maybe right now you're unemployed. We're in COVID, so there's that possibility for a lot of us. Unemployment is the reality we face. But what a lot of us can do, especially with desperate times like this, is have an emergency fund available. That meaning an emergency fund is money that you save in case of an accident, in case of unexpected unemployment and whatnot. So this is when you would spend money in those more dire situations. I would say have at least 3 months of rent worth ready, bills, a good amount in case for medical needs. The good thing is living in Alberta, a lot of our healthcare, as long as you have insurance, it's well paid for by the insurance companies. So that is great on our side. But if you're in US, whatnot, I would say it's good to have an emergency fund, because honestly, you don't know what the future holds for us. And not every day can be sunshine, so we gotta prepare for the rainy days. So I would definitely say that for savings. And also be reasonable. This is a big one, but be reasonable with the amount you're willing to save. So I have people around me who be like, I'm gonna save money. And I'm like, great. And then they're like, yeah, I put 90% of my paycheck towards my savings. And I'm like, are you sure you're not gonna like at least dip your hand in that money? Because that's a lot that's going to savings. But are you considering what you spend within a month? Now, let's say that, I know the safe rule is, I think it's 30% savings. At least dedicate that of your paycheck towards your savings right away. Don't look at it. But honestly, if you can do more, the better. But make sure that it's an amount that you're willing to be okay not to look at. The more aware you are of what's in your savings, the more likely you are to touch it. That's just something I've noticed, especially with myself. If I'm aware of how much my saving has, I will dismiss what my checking has, because I'll be like, it's okay, my savings has that. Like, if I need to, I can just pull out the money from there. But then that kind of defeats the purpose of the savings. So be aware of what you're willing to put into the savings, and also try to not think about the savings account that much, because yeah, try not to think of the savings account too much. Once the money goes into the account, try to just focus on the amount that's in your spendings. Okay. So we're gonna touch back on TFSA. So in Canada, we have a tax-free savings account, or you can also do investments through your savings account. But the point being is your savings can actually be passive income. Now, it can be passive income through investments you make, such as stocks, there's cryptocurrency, There's even investing in startup companies. There's I was about to say retail, but rental properties. There's a lot of things that you can invest in, but I would say for sure 100% don't invest in something you don't know. Educate yourself if you want to invest in anything. Like, for example, nowadays cryptocurrency is a big thing. The only issue is with cryptocurrency is a lot of people that are going into the market for cryptocurrency aren't really educated on what they're investing in. And with it being such a volatile market, it's very hard for you to track or for you even to predict what the numbers are going to be if you don't even know what you're looking at when it comes to charts, when it comes to fact sheets, when it comes to financial reports. So I would say definitely educate yourself if you're going to invest in anything, because at the end of the day, that is your, not only is it your money, that's your time, that's your effort. You want to be putting your money where your mouth is. So if you're going to invest in something, make sure you're educated on what you're investing in, because you are putting yourself into that investment. So you need to have something to back it up with. So that's all for savings, and we're going to go to the next one. The next one has to be one of the hardest. I'm 19 and I still struggle with this, and it's spending. So I've heard a lot of financial people be like, budget, or they'll be like, go through your finances, allocate your funds. You're probably wondering what all those means, but let's start with budgeting. I've heard that people budget in different ways. I've seen the ones where they'll be doing these little cash envelopes, and they'll put cash in certain areas. So like their rent will have a certain amount of cash, their beauty will have a certain amount of cash, and that's what they're allowed to spend for that month. They can't go over unless, I guess, extraneous measures come into play, but it's mostly focused on you're using just the cash. I don't like to carry cash, I won't lie, so I've never been one to try that, but I do allocate my funds, meaning once I get my paycheck in, I put a certain amount of money straight into my savings or straight into, and I put it either TFSA, my regular savings. At that point, I just choose where I want to put it. But I do decide what I'm going to use for that month, and I do take account in what I need for the month. Now, this is where it gets tricky for a lot of us people, and I'm gonna say this with love because I've done it before multiple times. There's a difference between your needs and your wants. Let me say that again. There's a difference between your needs and your wants. That being, your needs are your necessities. My girl, you don't need a purse. That is your want. You don't need your lashes. That's your want. Makeup, clothing, that's a want. Unless it has to do with your career, for the most part, those are all wants. Necessities are like your rent, food expenses, so such as grocery, whatnot, tuition, for all my students out there, because y'all know you need to save for your tuition, loans for school. I'm literally just thinking of the stuff that I need necessity-wise. Gas, that's a necessity. But a lot of times that line gets blurred between need and want, where we're just like, it's okay, I'll treat myself. You can only say you're gonna treat yourself so many times in a month where it stops becoming a treat, okay? But I'm guilty of this. That's why I'm red out of embarrassment. I am guilty of this. But knowing what your needs and what your wants is a huge thing, because at that point you're able to allocate what you think you're going to need for the month and what you think you're gonna want for the month. Now, it's great to treat yourself, but I would say maybe plan that. You don't need to, well, at least in my case, I don't need to be going out every week. COVID also helped with that situation. I don't really have anywhere to go. The only thing I pay bills-wise is phone, my memberships, school, but other than that, I'm pretty fortunate. I live with my mom. It's great. But yeah, other than small expenses I make throughout the month, I don't really have to worry about that kind of stuff, which is great. But that does create room for me to blur the line of my wants, because I do tend to fish over to that side. Now, at this point, when it comes to your wants, it's person to person. It varies depending on the person, but at that point, it's what your priorities are. So if your priorities are to go out every weekend, that is your prerogative, but the thing is, you need to be prepared to make sure you have the money to do that. And not only the money to do that, but have money on the side to do that. You should still have leftover money after you've gone out all the times you've gone out through the month, or you've gone shopping. Now, I know it's hard when the stuff is in your cart when you're doing online shopping, but just X out. I swear it'll be better for you in most cases. But yeah, knowing what your needs and what your wants are very vital when it comes to your spending, because that tends to be the area where a lot of people do tend to, I don't want to say mess up, but tend to fall to temptation. There you go. Okay, so the next one is all about getting that bag, your income. So nowadays with 2021, we have the hustle culture, we have all of these things telling us to work, work, work. But the thing is, there's two different types of incomes you can make. The first being active income and the second being passive income. So active income is taking out physical or some type of effort to reap that benefit of the money. So that can be, actually, let me get y'all the definition. Active income refers to income received for performing a service. So that could be your minimum wage job. That's my case. I work.
Not me forgetting where I work.
So, an example of active income could be your minimum wage job. You are working physically to make that money. It is 15, well, in my case, that's the starting wage in Alberta, but I do know minimum wage is 15. I'm not sure if it's any cents are added to that, but let's just say 15 an hour. You are working every hour to make that 15. And as you work more hours, the money accumulates. And then your paycheck rolls in and it's a great day. And then there's passive income. This is the income that a lot of people strive to get, but the only thing is, with passive income, it also tends to be the one that people, I don't want to say idolize, but they put it on a pedestal. And I've heard a lot of different fad ways to make money, it being passive income, and a lot of people are unfortunately falling into it because it just sounds so good, and I don't blame them. But passive income would be any investments you make, your rental properties, so anything that you're investing towards that makes you money for not doing anything really. Because let's say you invest money towards a stock, that money you invested in towards the stock grows as the company grows. But the thing is, as that stock increases, you're not doing anything actively to increase that stock. That stock is increasing as the company increases. That's separate to you, even if you have your money invested in it. So that's more of passive income. Now, nowadays, with so many side hustles and whatnot, people do emphasize the need to have multiple jobs. I would say that that is a great thing. I personally have that mentality. I like to work, even though I might not look like it when I have to wake up in the morning, but I do like to work. And with that, I've always been the type of person that I like to be doing stuff. Recently, I've started to drift away from that and go into what my interests are, being this. So I started my YouTube channel. I've started doing photography more seriously, taking pictures. I'd be on the gram, follow me on amelbahobeshi. I'll put on the screen. Self-promo. But yeah, those are things I've recently started to drift to, but there's always an emphasis on hustle culture. Now, honestly, make the income that's suitable for your lifestyle. I would always say reach for the stars if you can, but don't burn yourself out constantly just for that bag, because that bag at the end of the day, money is literally a piece of paper or coins. It doesn't have as much value as your happiness does. So making an income that you're happy with, you're able to live with comfortably, is what I would say is the most ideal situation. Now, if you want to be a millionaire, hey, go for it. I'm all for that. But I'm more of the type of person now to be like, make money that makes you happy. Don't make money just to make money. Because there's only so many years we're living, and to be so fixated on something so minute, such as money, is something unfortunate. And I honestly admire people who don't put an emphasis on money in their lifestyle, because that is how we run the world nowadays, is through money. Power equates with money. So when people are able to let go of all that, I personally find that really admirable. Sorry, we're getting on a ramble, but back to the top. So the next one is planning for your future. That could be either long term, so 10 plus years, or short term within a 5-year, 10-year period. Planning towards your future needs is the emphasis I'm putting on this one, because let's say you have a family. The next step might be purchasing a house together, having a child. You need to be able to provide for that child. So depending on what your circumstance is where you're going to be saving for either short term or long term, or actually even both. So short term planning, or short term savings, might I say, is more concentrated on reaching that goal of, let's say, a money amount for a car, or an amount to be able to lease something, a house, a property, a business venture. But then long term may be for your family, your child's university tuition. It could be for anything. But make sure that you are able to include that perhaps in your savings. Include that for your income. Keep that in mind when you're looking for a job. Now, there's a lot of things that come into play when it comes to making money, spending money, and saving money. And honestly, it comes down to, what do you prioritize in your life? Because that's what you're going to put the most towards. If it doesn't require that much financial needs, great, you can put it elsewhere. But depending on what your needs are in, let's say, 5 to 10 years, and the plan you make doesn't need to be the end all be all. So let's say in 5 years you're expected to get married. Let's say that doesn't happen. This is my situation, so please don't put me on blast, but I had a plan. I know realistically that's probably not gonna happen now. I'm okay, I got over it. Slightly. But now I've accommodated my savings to move it towards something else, or move that towards my long-term plan now instead of my short-term plan. So honestly, do it how it suits your circumstance. That's the only thing with finances. There's not a this leads to this. It's more based on person to person, and it's also based on what you need for right now, what you need in the future. But it's all based on you. That's the only tricky thing when it comes to finances, because it goes down to, what do you need, what do you want? It all just goes back to you. So it makes it hard to be like, you need to do this, and this to be able to be financially secured. Because I personally don't know what you need. I can only give you a general outline, and you can work that to your circumstance, to your needs and wants. So that is actually all for this video. I hope you got something out of it. I want to emphasize that Y'all, we're in the middle of a I was gonna say pandemic, but no. Pandemic? We're in the middle of a pandemic. Honestly, I think everyone should give themselves slack, but I think we should also take opportunity with what's given to us. Yes, it's unfortunate the circumstances that have fallen, but it's up to us to make the best out of that. And I think that we can make time for things such as finances now that we might have not been able to before because now we're at home more often. So this is all to the video. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye. This is giving me very much teacher vibes. I am your professor. I am on Zoom. Listen to me, y'all. I'm gonna fail y'all. This is not how my profs have acted in my Zooms. I need to cut this. Ah! And we're back. No, wait, no. That's not it. Scratch that. And more. Jesus Christ.